Hey team!
Hey team!
Happy week 5.
Happy week 5!
We are at the halfway point.
A little bit over now.
A little bit over, but it's super exciting when you get to this point because there is still lots of time left. Lots of time for amazing results.
Absolutely.
So even if you had a bit of a shaky start, there is so much time to be laying down really good habits, really good training patterns. And if you have not had a shaky start and you've been absolutely flying, give you chances to keep working harder. It's not over.
Yeah, it's not over. You can kick it up a notch if you want to.
Yep.
But also, this is kind of the point where you start to see those results as well. You start to notice the change, and it kind of reaffirms all of the things that you've been doing that work for you and that are helping you out. Like in a lot of our check-ins, a lot of my team have been saying that meal prep just makes their life so much easier. And so finding those habits and routines that work for you, you're noticing how much change you're actually creating for you.
Yeah. And let's chat about habits. So in your Trainerize app, there are some habits that we've preset. If you look back at our journal, those habits are stated in there. We've set 5 habits, and each week there's been a new habit that's been dropped into your account. The first one, which was kind of like the most important thing, is to plan out your meals, do some form of meal prep. And you should see that that's been in there from week 1. Week 2 was the portion sizes. Week 3 was another habit, which I can't remember exactly what it was. It was to do with mindful eating.
Mindful eating,
I feel like. Week 4 was journaling, and week 5 was self-care. And there's actually not going to be any more habits that's going to be getting dropped into your account. Like 5 habits is a lot, and some of you girls have other habits that you asked us to put in. But these are kind of like 5 habits, 5 pillars that we consider being really, really important. So this week's habit, self-care, isn't actually attached to the homework piece, which was getting you to think about snacking and socializing. We didn't make a habit associated with that, but self-care is so important.
Absolutely.
And the reason for that is that if you're there operating out of a place where it's like survival, where you're feeling like you're always stressed or always tired or never having time for yourself, then you're going to be finding it really hard to be actioning new things, implementing new things, and be thinking about them in a way that's really positive and exciting. Because change, when you're looking to see changes in your body composition, either getting stronger or losing weight, they are so exciting. It should be that you are loving the journey, that you are loving connecting in with yourself. But if you're there feeling like you just are running on empty, it's not a place that you can grow from. And for us to see changes in our body, we are talking about radical growth, changes, long-term changes fundamentally to the person that you actually are, so that you can keep those amazing results. So it's really important that you stop and think about what self-care actually looks like for you. And I'll give you a little example of that. And it takes time, and it takes a little bit of being a little bit more bold, or just, knowing that it's okay to say what you need and what you want.
Yeah.
As women, sometimes we find that really hard. But my little example is when it comes to rest, a lot of people, they say, you should rest, and you should, put on a movie, or, a lot of people great at telling you that you should rest more, you should do this. But the way you consider rest, it's very individual.
Yeah. 100%.
What you actually consider rest and what actually restores you and what fills your cup will be very different person to person. And sometimes what we think is something that would fill our cup sometimes is not something that fills our cup at all. So a little example is you might find like time away or catching up with girlfriends as like the best rest. On the flip side, you might actually find catching up and socializing with people is not restful. It's enjoyable, but it's not restful.
That's exhausting.
Yeah.
For introverts like me.
Yeah.
Having to socialize.
Yeah. We know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's important that you actually stop and go, what actually fills my cup? What makes me feel like I'm well rested? And for me, same. It's actually spending time by myself, going for a walk, listening to a podcast, not having to be there for anyone, particularly like my kids or my husband, just really just tuning out. I find getting my hair done, getting my nails done, I really don't like that sort of stuff. I don't find it restful. I sit there thinking about it the whole time, what I should be doing. So it's very much individual.
Yeah, whereas I love sitting down and doing my nails every week because that's like an hour and a half that I just get to switch off. And that's like meditation to me. Or I like to sit and read or do some drawing or colouring or something like that. And that's really restful to me. Whereas like sitting down and watching TV, it might feel restful, but it's not necessarily restoring you or helping you rejuvenate. It's kind of just...
For some people it might.
For some people it might, but for me it kind of is just a form of distraction. So I might still feel really restless as I'm doing that, if that is like a daily thing or whatever. So often if I'm going to watch a movie, I'll be sitting there doing my nails while I watch the movie, or I'll like, you know, have the two things going at the same time. So I really am switching off. So finding something that is actually for you, even if it's like 5 minutes a day where you just like step away from the family, do something like a little self-check-in or something like that. I've been saying this quote to so many girls this week, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And so 5-10 minutes a day or one activity a week that is just for you and really helps you feel restored is so important, because then you'll find that you're able to focus on all the change that you want to make. You're able to give that extra capacity to the change that you want to make. And without it, it makes a massive difference where, as Ange said, you just feel like you're running on empty and everything's happening around you.
Yeah, and you're not being mindful. So take some time to really think about what that is. It doesn't have to be elaborate or expensive. Like for me, also like sitting down before the kids get up and having my cup of coffee in silence, or sitting down with my journal. Like that is just bliss for me. It's not hard. It's something very easy to do. It's also very easy for me to skip it. So it's important that you make it a priority. Because it's about connecting back in with yourself. So yeah, this week our focus area is on snacking and socializing, which I think comes at a really good time. There's never going to be a perfect time for you to do the thing and get results. That's a given, because you might sit there and go, oh, I'm going to wait until it's warmer. And then all of a sudden it's like spring racing carnival season, and then we start the holiday season and Christmas parties, and then it's Christmas, and then you're away, and then it's holidays, and then it gets cold again. Like there is never a good time. Trust me, there is never a good time.
And you might be waiting for your calendar to be clear, but things always pop up. Like you're always going to have things happening.
Charlie has just pumped up the music.
But yeah, like you can't just wait for a clear period of time where you feel like you can give it your all, because life doesn't happen that way. Things pop up, things are out of your control. And so the beauty of building habits that you can kind of dial up or dial down, or having a backup plan, is that you can make it fit around your life.
Yeah. So in that, like, I guess we want you guys to walk away with some really good tips and strategies that will help you out in this area. And again, everyone's circumstances are very different. I guess the most important thing is that if you've got something, you know, big and social coming up, always go back to your why. Why is what you're working towards important for you? And your why has to be important enough to implement a strategy or not. And it's a choice. It's either I am going to create a strategy around that event so that I can stay on track with my goals, or my why is not important enough for this situation to make it a priority. And it's okay if it's not. So give yourself permission to recognize that, but don't beat yourself up if you get to the end of that big social event and you feel like you've let yourself down. If you haven't actually spent time making a plan, around what you're going to be doing during that social situation, a weekend away or a night out. Don't be beating yourself up if you feel like you made choices that you regret. Because you went into it without a plan, without a strategy, and therefore you were really making it hard on yourself to implement any sort of strategies that would be helpful.
Or to even be conscious about it.
Yeah.
So knowing what's on your calendar and understanding what that social occasion means to you, and if it outweighs what your goals mean to you in this moment, that's totally fine. Like, that happens with certain events. But if you go into it without a plan, then it's almost a form of like self-sabotage where you're setting yourself up to feel bad and feel guilty about that. And you don't want to do that.
No.
You want to have that control to be like, okay, I'm going out with a girlfriend. I'm a mum. That doesn't happen very often. So I'm going to have a few wines and I'm going to enjoy some pasta for dinner.
And that will not set you back.
That will not set you back. And at the end of it, you're going to enjoy it, and you're not going to have that guilt looming over you that you made those choices because you knew going into it that that's how you wanted that experience to be.
Yeah. Some other self-sabotaging behaviours we see is that you sit there and you dread that social event coming up, going, oh, I've got this thing, I've got a wedding on the weekend, I know I'm going to be bad. And then you're bad.
Yeah, it's like setting yourself up.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. It's either do the thing or don't do the thing, but don't sit there at the end of it and go, oh, I really fell off the wagon when you told yourself you were going to do that.
Yeah.
Instead, going with a plan. I think that's probably the most important thing here, is that if your goals and what you're working towards is important enough, go in with a strategy and know exactly where the line is in the sand and have boundaries around that. So, for example, I just spent 3 or 4 days away up in New South Wales. It involved travelling up to Sydney, staying with my mother-in-law, and then travelling out to country New South Wales. We had a big sort of group shenanigan. Very easy to fall completely off track. So some strategies that I made sure that I put in place is I took a couple of snacks with me, so I wasn't getting to my mother-in-law's being like, I'm so hungry, I'm just going to devour all the cheese and biscuits and my dinner. I took up some snacks for the plane, so I made sure that I wasn't ravenous, knowing that she doesn't necessarily like have food readily available. I knew that there was going to be a little bit of a wait to have food ready, and then going into the weekend away with friends, really being conscious of alcohol intake in terms of how much alcohol I wanted to actually drink. I made sure that I went out and kept my steps up. I went out on a lovely walk by myself in the morning. I got some movement in. I enjoyed some of the social snackings, but I also made sure I paid attention to portion sizes and macro balance as well, that I was prioritising getting some protein in. So I went in with a loose game plan. Was I perfect? Hell no, I was not perfect. But I also went in knowing what I was going to, what I was going to be eating, and knowing that I was going to be having some chocolate and some wines, and that was okay. That was completely fine. And I also went in having trained, got all my sessions in so that I could have 3 days away from the gym without necessarily feeling like I'd fallen behind either. So
So even having a loose plan will just take that pressure off yourself and improve your mindset, so you can really enjoy those periods where you're out of your routine.
And I also knew that I was coming back late on Sunday night, so I made up like a slow cooked chicken burrito kind of mix that I just literally pulled out of the freezer. And then I've had it with rice or wraps or something over the last 2 or 3 days. So it meant that I could start the week with my meal prep done.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, a plan. Just have a plan. It doesn't have to be a great plan, just a plan. Any plan.
Just one that's a little bit better than going into it and getting caught out with the choices you might make on the fly with certain circumstances around you.
100%.
Yeah.
And when it comes to snacking, that's something that, again, we are highly encouraged when it comes to snacking, really evaluate what you're doing. I think for me, when I'm trying to cut weight, eating on a routine or eating on a schedule is something that I find really beneficial, because it's about knowing when it's time to eat and when it's time to not be eating. rather than just sitting there constantly grazing. And it's something that's very much conscious. It's planned. I know exactly what snacks that I'm going to have, or I know when I'm going to have them. And this is where having a routine in your day becomes really important, that you eat breakfast at a certain time, then you eat your next snack at a certain time, then you have lunch at a certain time, then you have dinner at a certain time, as opposed to kind of being like, today I'm going to eat at this time and tomorrow I'm going to eat at this time. It makes it a little hard to actually get to know when you should be eating and being, I guess, a bit more mindful about the foods that you're fueling yourself with.
Absolutely, and having certain meal times definitely influences your hormonal cycles around like your blood sugar, your hunger and fullness cues. If you have a routine, then they're going to be a lot more settled than if you don't have meal timings or a meal routine. Then, you know, it's a lot harder to kind of predict predict when you're going to be hungry or when you're going to have an appetite. But also, if you know that you're a snacker, don't sit there and try not to do snacking. Like, account for those snacks in your calories or in your meal plan. And for example, if you know that you're someone that gets that afternoon slump, have a snack before the afternoon slump hits to combat that, and to combat any particular like sugar cravings or carb cravings that you might get that sort of lead you towards those convenient, less healthy, less conscious snack habits.
And go back to week 2 where we spoke about balance, that if you are finding yourself you're massively craving certain foods, really unpack what's actually in those foods and why. Why you might be, snacking and constantly be going, how can I just improve this just a little bit? So what are your 1% improvements you're going to make next week?
1%
to what you're doing this week?
Yes. Next week, well, I've been hitting my breakfast preparation for the last 5 weeks, which has been great. I've been a bit hit and miss with my lunch prep. So next week, I will aim to have all of my lunches prepped so that I don't have to run out to the supermarket and pick something up, because prepped lunches always fill me up a little bit more and I always enjoy them more as well. So, that's my 1% better next week. I'm probably like 2 days out of the week I'm not bringing my lunch in. So, aiming for all 5 days.
Nice.
What about you?
Mine is, I think, around water intake. I found this, I guess because it's cold, I just don't drink as much water as what I probably think that I need. So I'm going to try and really be more conscious of actually how much water I am drinking. The other thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to remove the coffee that I would normally have at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, just because I've been finding that my sleep quality's just been a little bit off. So I think water intake will help that, but I think coupled with that is just trying to get myself to bed a little bit earlier will also help. So more water, better sleep quality, and seeing where if that extra coffee is the thing that's stopping me, or whether I just need to just settle myself down a bit more for the night. So they're the things that I'm going to be working on, and I know that when I'm well rested, I train better, I eat better, I think better, I'm more clear in my head, I'm more positive, all those things. So I think it'll make a big difference.
I also got my drawing stuff out again the other day. I'm going to make sure I draw every night or every other night and do some kind of like artistic thing, because that is my self-care. That is my form of self-care, and it makes a big difference on how my mindset is.
I might try and add in a little extra walk by myself as well, just to get, a little bit more settled in my own brain. Cool. Well, I think that's it for the week.
That's all for week 5.
Yeah. Keep smashing it, girls. Make sure you book in your end of challenge scan. And please, please, please come along to our Members Appreciation Night, the Are You OK night, our end of challenge party. Bring friends, bring partners. It's going to be a lot of fun just to sit, kick back and just, catch up with people outside of the gym.
Enjoy some pizzas. Enjoy a little bit of wine. This is one of those social occasions that we're accounting for. I'm really looking forward to it.
The pizzas from Moore's Head are delicious as well. So we'll be making sure that when we pop in an order, because they will come directly over to the bar. We'll account for, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, everything else in between. So it will be a great time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, team. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll catch you in next week's one.
Woohoo! Keep training hard, team.
Bye.
Bye.